Welcome to the Rule Thirds podcast. My name is Max.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Larry.
Long time ago, a movie came out, and today we're going to talk about it. We're a bit late here to the party, but man, it is one heck of a party, so we're going to talk about it anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the review that we've been waiting for all our lives. The next installment in the Star Wars franchise. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and yes, it is Episode 7. You guys notice that? You guys notice that in the
Yeah, they
the
said
crawl?
it in the text crawl, which, I mean,
Yeah.
they kind of weird if they took it.
That made me so happy because it actually is Episode 7. It's not just like, yeah. But, yeah, it's finally happening. How are you guys doing today?
Good. I mean, it's Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
So-
the time of recording, it is Christmas Eve.
Winter
So
break.
This is our Christmas present to ourselves. A review
Yeah.
that we wanted to get out there earlier, but then I left, and somebody else left, and we were all busy, and yeah. But we've seen it. In fact, okay, so you've seen it 4 times, right, Sean?
Yep, 4 times.
I saw it twice. I'm going to go see it at least 2 more times in the theater. Larry, have you only seen it once?
I've seen it twice.
Okay, I'm glad we're all in that mindset, because I think seeing the movie twice is like, especially for a movie like this, it's good, because we have so much hype, and then all the hype settles down, and we actually go see the movie and just watch the movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm glad.
I've seen it as much as you two combined, yet I'm not hosting. I don't know, man. I don't know. So that's what happened. Something weird happened. It was kind of stupid, honestly.
I feel some salt in the air.
All right. So here's how it's going to work. We're going to do our thesis statements. We're going to skip community segment because this takes precedence. I'm sorry, Whitley. I'm sorry, Seth. But from here on out, we're going to do a spoiler-free thesis, give our scores, and then just jump into spoilers because everything from the reveals to the character arcs to everything, it's all a spoiler. So
And we
that's how
assume
things
pretty
go.
much everyone's seen it anyway. You know, with just
Yeah.
how popular it's been. Like, we
It's
assume
true,
most
but I know people who have not
have
seen it yet. I know
Weird.
people who are like, I'm not going to see it, you know, and that's
Ugh,
whatever. I don't
terrible.
know why you'd be listening to this if you're not going to watch the movie, but
Yeah.
okay. Maybe those people out there who don't like Star Wars but like our reviews, they just want to hear us talk about Star Wars and review stuff.
Well, you
I guess.
should like Star Wars. There.
Yeah, please
Hey,
like Star
said it.
Wars.
hey,
Please.
nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with not liking Star Wars. But anyway, so we're going to get this show on the road. So we're going to start off with our thesis statements, our spoiler-free thesis statements. Sean, you've seen the movie 4 times. Go for it.
Okay, well, I really don't know what to say in a thesis statement outside of this is a good Star Wars movie. I don't know, nothing else that needs to be said for me. It's enjoyable, it's funny, good action, fun characters, lots to talk about, speculation ahead. It felt like Star Wars. I realized rewatching over and over, I legitimately don't care what score I want to give it because it's Star Wars. We finally have another Star Wars movie that felt like Star Wars and lived up to the name and did interesting things in the universe. So with that, I can't do any more specific of a thesis without spoilers. So I'll just say that I loved it. And I think I'll be giving it like, I don't know, maybe like an 8 out of 10, maybe 8.5, somewhere in there, because there are some problems. But honestly, what I really want to give it is a Star Wars out of 10. That's it, because it's Star Wars. That should tell you if you should see it. Do you like Star
Okay,
Wars?
sure,
Yes?
all right,
Go.
that makes sense, all right.
That's my score. Star Wars out of
Larry.
10.
Go for it.
Star Wars out of 10. Yeah, I don't know. My opinion doesn't really differ from Sean. I really enjoyed it. I'm a big Star Wars fan. Really dynamic action scenes, fun characters, some pretty funny comedy, and not overbearing comedy either, which was nice. I really think it's very interesting to see someone like J.J. Abrams, who's much more of a dynamic action director, take on a franchise like Star Wars, which has been, hasn't really gone past being shot like a soap opera, basically, or a 30s serial or something like that. So it's nice to see J.J. Abrams take it. I think that this movie is being faulted by many people in comparison to other movies, and I don't think that's very fair. I think the film has flaws on its own, so I think that's important to mention as well.
All right.
I'm going to be giving this movie an 8.5 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. Hopefully I'll be seeing it one more time in the theater before I have other things to do.
Okay, cool. I'm with you guys on this one. I really enjoyed Star Wars The Force Awakens, though I do have my reasons, to be quite honest. I think that Star Wars is a great example of the fact that you can get away with a lot of storytelling problems as long as you have compelling, interesting characters. The Force Awakens is a triumph of character. I like every single member of this cast, and I want to see where they go from here, and honestly, I think it's like a total success. If anything, J.J. Abrams knows how to direct and create interesting characters that we care about. Yeah,
You can't say character without care.
true, yeah. there are problems that I will discuss, and there's a few things that I would have done differently. I don't know why that would matter because I was never in the director's chair for this movie, but it really is a success. It's not perfect, but it is exactly what I think a lot of us wanted it to be, and it's just a blast to watch. So I'm going to give Star Wars also an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
That's two 8.5s and a Star Wars out of 10. That probably means it's a good time.
Probably 8.5 is where I'd fall. Maybe 9 if I'm in a good mood, but we will talk about some issues. But it's funny that our thesis, usually we can be really specific, but here we're kind of tiptoeing in general, like I like the characters and all that, because we can't say much.
That's the thing. I totally love the characters. Like that's like the big thing. Like forget arcs or anything like that. I love these characters.
Don't forget arcs. Don't forget arcs.
I mean, like forget like where these characters are going as characters.
Right.
If you know what I mean, like just on their own, how they talk, like their whole demeanor. I love them all of them, even the ones that aren't too big or aren't kind of forgotten about, which is one of the big problems of the movie that we'll talk about in the spoiler section. But okay, so now that you know, we're gonna get into spoiler territory, and don't say we didn't warn you, okay?
Because I want to go full with this.
We
I
are
don't
going
say
full on to spoilers, maybe even speculation and accidentally spoiling the next movie.
Yep,
that's probably not gonna happen.
I mean, especially since, let's be honest, guys, I called like 90% of my guesses in this.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, Sean,
one is yet to be confirmed.
Said like all the different things that could happen, and then some of them were true.
Oh, but my number one picks were all aligned, were all hit.
Mm-hmm.
Sure,
except, are we going full spoilers?
Hold on. Let's not do that yet. Let's just say, okay, we're going into spoiler territory. So I'm going to ask you guys, just to start this off, what is your favorite like spoiler part of the movie? And before you leave us, what do you think of Star Wars? And this is a weird question. What is your favorite title crawl out of all the 7? Which one? Because I can tell you that 3 is my favorite. War!
Yeah,
War!
right? I was just about to say that. I love that. I love reading that.
I like 7s, how it just starts immediately, like, Luke Skywalker has vanished. Oh, okay.
Makes sense.
Imagine if you didn't have the build-up, so you watch 6, like, oh boy, can't wait to see what happens next. Luke Skywalker has vanished. Oh, crap.
Dang.
All right,
instantly, You're just dropped.
Yeah, anyway, all right, so now that we've sort of spoiled that, even though it's in literally like the first minute of the movie. Okay, so favorite thing, like spoilerish thing from this movie, guys. What is it? Tell me yours. Just let's just put this out on the table.
Oh,
I can tell you mine while you're thinking. Kylo Ren as the son of Han Solo. I think it's really interesting. I think the reveal could have been a lot better, and I'll explain that later. But the fact is, we finally see Han Solo have to actually confront the Force and the dark side for the first time from a very personal standpoint, and I think it's great when he says all of it's real, he's like dark side, the Force. It's like we know that he's not just saying that I saw that happen once. He's like, oh, I have experienced that. My freaking son killed a bunch of Jedi. I saw that happen, man. That sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, okay. Again, the reveal itself, I'll explain why I think it could have done better, but the thing itself is awesome.
Okay. My favorite spoiler thing, it's like the most spoiler you can get, kind of, because it's literally the end of the movie. I love the very end with Luke, and I guess that's considered a spoiler, even though everyone kind of called it that he'd be there just at the very end. But it's probably my favorite part of the movie. Just the music. That's when John Williams just hits into A+ game, not even A game, just goes full force. It's an incredible scene.
Full force.
And Mark Hamill just killed it without saying any dialogue.
Yep. No word.
Just incredible acting from him. I'm so glad he's back. It was weird. It was such a powerful moment because I didn't realize how much I wanted Luke back until Mark Hamill turned around, and it just hit like, oh, we need him back.
Did you guys see the beard at first? I'm like, oh my god, he looks like a Jedi Master.
Well, because he's Obi-Wan. He totally Obi-Wan. Like I said, he totally.
Well, he is
Obi-Wan.
the same age that Alec Guinness was when they were shooting the originals. So
that's probably my favorite.
That's terrifying.
Makes a lot of sense,
Yeah, but that's my favorite spoiler thing was Luke at the end. That he wasn't evil.
Right. Hopefully the next movie
that he wasn't evil.
You must do what you feel is right, of course.
Yeah. Okay, well, Larry, what about you?
I don't know. I think my favorite spoiler thing is the death of Han. And see, I would say that Kylo Ren being related to Han Solo, but I think they handled that reveal so poorly.
See, I disagree. We'll get to that.
See, okay, we will get into that later, but I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was just so they could have done it. It could have been so much more subdued. Whatever. The point of it being, I like the fact that because a big thing I like about The Force Awakens is how it continues a lot of character parallels we see within the franchise while still changing a lot between several different characters. And this is a good example. We see a fatherly figure, except that now we're going outside of just mentors and the Force. We're dealing with our main villain and his father, who's just some bounty hunter dude who can't commit to anything.
Not bounty hunter. He's a smuggler.
A smuggler, whatever. The point of the matter is,
Swindler.
It's just I felt that moment was such an intense moment, and even though I called it kind of from a mile away.
I called it too.
It's still.
Oh boy, we'll talk about that.
I still think just not only as Han's character, but also Kylo Ren's character. The idea that he needs to validate himself so much that he is a member of the dark side that he kills his father in cold blood. Just to validate that, I think it's just a fascinating. It's just fascinating for both characters. So I really like that, even though I called it like
all right,
10 minutes. Yeah.
So okay, let's start from the beginning. Of
a very
the movie.
good place to start.
Very, very beginning. As in, like, the first thing we see, aside from the Star Wars title moving away, Luke Skywalker has vanished. What did you guys think of how they handled that?
Good. That's the thing. It's aware that we know. That's the thing. This wasn't a reveal for the movie. We knew that. This is the internet age.
And honestly, like, I knew that from Disney Infinity said, as join two Star Wars heroes and return to a galaxy far, far away as they search for an old ally. I'm like, yeah, they're looking for Luke.
Yeah, we all knew Luke was gone and that the movie was about finding him.
I was thinking maybe they were looking for Han, but no, they were looking for Luke.
Han's not hard to find.
Yeah.
Luke is.
It's funny. I looked up an interview. Maybe you guys saw this with Lawrence Kasdan. He said we were like one of the biggest struggles that they had writing the film was that they didn't know where to put Luke because every time they would put Luke in, he would immediately become the central character, and audiences wouldn't care about the new people.
Yeah.
So they basically handled this the best way they could by allowing us to be with these characters, these brand new characters, for like 2 hours, and then see Luke at the end and be like, "Oh, okay, this makes sense."
Yeah.
Like it's as if there was a prequel trilogy before the original trilogy where it was about Obi-Wan, and then like Obi-Wan shows up. It's like, oh, we wouldn't care about Luke or Han or Leia. It's like doing a whole thing about Darth Vader, about Anakin Skywalker, and then like we wouldn't even care about. Oh wait, never mind.
I don't get it. Anyway, we should probably get to characters. We should probably get to the review here.
Yeah. So I just wanted to talk about that. So the characters: Finn, Rey, Poe, etc. So
I think we should work our way to Finn and Rey because they're kind of our new main characters.
Okay, so can we all be real here? Who was that guy at the beginning? Who was that old guy?
I have no idea. I still don't know where. Yeah, I still don't know where he's placed in canon.
It doesn't matter. I appreciated that. All we know is the old friend of Leia wants to help the Resistance, and then
but I'm just curious, like how he got the map piece.
Doesn't matter.
How the rebels get the plans for the Death Star? We'll find that out in December 2016.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it would have been nice to just at least. I don't think we even got a name.
There is a name.
I had
in
to
the
look
credits,
up the name in the credits after. I'm just like, I don't know. It was a great way to start.
This movie.
It was a great way to start, but I'm just saying.
But should we start with Poe then?
Yeah, let's talk. Let's go talk about good old Oscar Isaac over.
I love Poe Dameron.
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah,
he's
Oscar
got some
Isaac.
charisma like nobody else.
Yeah,
so great.
Super charismatic. But what I appreciated was that it was weirdly refreshing to get just a straightforward, swashbuckling hero type.
Yeah, like everybody keeps saying he's the Han. I don't really think he's the Han. I don't think there is a Han or a Luke or a Leia in this.
Well, just raise the Luke.
It's kind of. I feel that every character is a mix of all.
Yeah, we'll talk, but I like him, and I'm glad that he didn't die right after getting to Jakku like was initially planned. He came back.
Yeah, that was initially planned, but as I know, it's sort of like forced in, like, oh my god, he's back, but like, I think it's also because his reveal during that scene. It should have like we see his face once, and then Finn's like, "That's one hell of a pilot," and then it's like, that's Poe. Okay, yeah, but it's not like, he's talking about Poe because it's.
I think the trailer showed that Poe's in it more.
Yeah, honestly,
true.
I knew.
I know.
I don't know. I feel that there is more to Poe as a character that hopefully we'll see. But later on.
For now, I'm glad he was in a fairly minor role. We don't need an arc for him.
Yeah, I think Oscar Isaac is just a super charismatic guy. He really brings a lot of a lot of presence really to this role. Yeah. I think he basically has like the swagger of Han with the rebellion, affiliation of Leia, and that's just a great combo. Like immediately, we don't need to
Maybe
need to waste
their
time.
son too.
They're all telling me that I'm hearing all kinds of theories. They're kids. Like one of them is the son of Luke Skywalker or something. It's like, okay, guys.
Well,
all right.
no, we actually know Poe's parentage in the books that were leading up to 7, so that was a joke.
Oh, okay,
Right.
yeah.
But
I would. Okay, can I be real? I would not mind a Poe prequel. I want to see a movie.
okay,
I don't know.
let's stay focused.
I think we're going to get enough of Poe in the trilogy. I think they're really going to make use of the character. I'm pretty happy with where he is now.
Yeah, but also I think it would be great to bring up the moment with Kylo when Kylo's searching his brain or whatever. Just as a whole, that idea of Kylo just messing with people's minds, I think the actors did a great job handling those scenes because
though I will say when he's with Rey and Rey starts overpowering, which we'll get to more plot stuff later and good moments and stuff, but that moment felt like it was 2 shots too many. Like it felt like it kept going.
Yeah, but that I will agree with that. But I will say that just it's so hard to visually emote that kind of a struggle.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing visually really happening. We just see a guy's hand. But especially with Oscar Isaacs, I think he just does a great job as this character. He's charismatic, but he also has his dramatic moments. So good job to him. Great role.
Let's see. So okay, we got Poe. I really liked Poe too, for the record. Now let's move on to.
The next in appearance would be Captain Phasma.
Yeah. Okay.
Because here's what's weird.
The biggest she's probably the biggest problem with the movie.
What? Okay, here's what I don't understand.
She is underutilized completely.
Okay, but here's what I don't understand. I saw the design. I'm like, okay, a stormtrooper captain, cool, all that. And everyone's, getting psyched. I'm like, yeah, I have the pop figurine. I think it's here somewhere. It's somewhere in my house. I brought it back so I can have it with the movie. But I have the pop figurine of her. It's really cool. It's Gwendolyn Christie. She's great. But
very tall.
And then when people kind of got early out and people kept saying she's barely in the movie, she's not even in it at all, it's so overused, my expectations were lower. But then when I saw it, she's in it as much as I expected. I think people really overestimate, look how many characters there are. We knew it was going to be Rey and Finn as the main. Han was going to be a major thing. Leia was going to be pretty major. Poe Dameron's, he's the new major one. We have a villain. General Hux is the Tarkin. But honestly, where does Phasma fit in? She was more important to the plot than, I don't know, Boba Fett, which is the easiest comparison in Return of the Jedi. She had more screen time and lines than him. I don't know what people are complaining about. She was cool. She served the plot purpose. She'll be back in 8.
Well, where'd she go? Did they actually put her down in a trash compactor?
It doesn't matter. They've already confirmed she's back for 8. So we'll learn, but good. For now it doesn't matter. She's in 8.
She better have more stuff to do because, okay, fine, she wasn't the worst part of the movie, but she was, it was really disappointing. I was like, oh, there she is. Oh, there she's gone. The first female villain in a Star Wars movie, and she gets barely any screen time.
Yeah. And again, I wish she had more, but realistically, the movie had a lot to do, and so she was exactly the role I expected. So,
and to be fair, J.J. Abrams has said that Phasma was actually a previous design for Kylo Ren, and he liked the design so much he tried to put it in the movie. And then Gwendolyn Christie really, really pushed to get in the movie, and they're like, okay, we'll put you in the movie. So
she'll be in 8. I think she'll be more important in 8. Rumors that she was going to be the main villain in 8, and I wonder if that's going to be, if she is going to be pretty central.
But Kylo Ren, he's got it.
Well, he's going to be,
I hear Benicio del Toro is also going to be a villain in 8.
Well, yeah,
apparently.
I've heard mixed on the rumors of whether or not he's the villain.
I don't know.
No, I believe that's confirmed.
Well, he's confirmed to be in it, but I don't think we've heard confirmation if he's a villain yet.
But it's Benicio del Toro, so people make assumptions that he would be the villain. As far as Captain Phasma, in my opinion, love the design. I think Gwendolyn Christie does fine, and I think she's in the movie enough. I just think she's a little too easily overpowered.
Yeah, she should be putting up a fight, but then she doesn't.
Yeah, honestly,
there's not even a fight.
I put that to arrogance. Because she does say you're so stupid to think this will be easy. So she's basically, her mindset was, okay, I don't want to get killed. And honestly, who cares if the shields are down? What are they going to do? We are so much better. We can totally repel any attack. Why not? So she just kind of did it. So I didn't put that as a character flaw. She was.
I'm not saying it's a character. I'm not saying it's a character flaw. I think she could put up a fight. I'm just saying I just want to just a little bit, but it's just boom, gun to your throat, and it's over. Could she have not done something a little swifter? Just to, I don't know. She's a good character though. I think she's cool. And
she needed to do something to raise the stakes. To be like, oh my god, this captain is not to be phasmed with. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Nice.
Got to
Yeah.
be Phasma'd with, dude. Come on.
I don't know.
Wonderful.
All right.
I appreciate the
So-
pun, Max.
Let's see. Yeah. So who comes next here?
I mean,
'Cause
in
think
terms of,
Finn is
like-
next, but we'll
Kylo's
wanna
Finn's
wait,
next, basically.
Like, the three we need to talk at the end is definitely Rey, Finn, Kylo Ren. So
Yeah.
I think we should wait on those. Maybe next is Leia. We'll kind of work our way up. We can
Yeah,
get to Leia. Or how
Leia
about, like, General
was
Hux?
there as
Let's
what
do
she
General
needs to
Hux,
be.
though.
Oh, okay, General Hux.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
He's
they
fine.
really got the whole Hitler imagery past a little
Oh,
bit
yeah,
too
no, they
much
went
there.
full, like, everyone's like, the Empire has a little Nazi thing, and they just went full force.
No, I
See,
love it.
Here's the thing, though. If I may, like General Hux, and let's just like put in the First Order as a whole. This is the first Star Wars villainous organization that I actually am intimidated, like by which I'm actually intimidated. Like,
Yeah, I
these
think
guys
they
are
did a
not
good
dramatic.
job.
Like the Empire was kind of silly. Like they're just kind of like they're they do a bunch of like crazy things, and then like all their stormtroopers don't fire well. Like
Yeah.
this is a movie where it opens with a bunch of stormtroopers just laying waste to a village. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my god,
It's
these
kind
guys
of
these guys can aim. Oh my
I
god,
think they hit a good middle ground, because I wouldn't like it if every stormtrooper was like this intimidating presence, but they're not pushovers, you know. And let's be honest, the Imperial stormtroopers, what damage did they ever do? Leia gets hit in the arm in 6.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, what else do we see them ever hit? So
they hit the First Order. Like, I mean, they also hit Chewie in the arm.
yeah,
Right.
but
They hit
okay,
a
hey,
main
let's start with
character.
the First Order helmet designs are way cooler.
Oh
I
yeah,
prefer the
absolutely.
new design way
Every
more.
time I see an original trilogy stormtrooper helmet, I'm like, get with the times. Come
Yeah,
on, let's go back.
it looks kind of bad, honestly. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, General Hux is good, very intense. His speech is just the
Today
right amount of
love
crazy.
the
is the
speech.
last day of
I-
the Republic.
I
It's like-
love that speech, man.
It
That
is-
moment,
it's a good speech,
literally,
yeah.
I literally was like, I got chills. I was like, oh my god, this guy's insane.
And
like,
yeah,
it's
and he was a
great.
good, just kind of like, what was Kylo Ren going to be doing in his storyline? Nothing. You needed that other character for him to kind of clash with, and I liked the clash between General Hux and Kylo Ren,
Hey,
because Kylo
you know,
Ren's kind of
he also owns one of my favorite lines in the movie. The collapse of the planet has begun. Like, I don't know why it is, but that's like the perfect
Hey,
delivery.
you know, every Vader needs a Tarkin. So,
yeah, exactly. This was
there you
Tarkin,
go.
but I'm glad this Tarkin is going to make it to episode 8.
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm also
Um,
glad he was actually intimidating. Because Grand Moff Tarkin in my part, Grand Moff Tarkin is a good character, but like half the time he's just sort of there.
Yeah.
You know, he's just the exposition fodder on the side of the Sith. You know, whatever.
I like Hux a lot. I want him to do more things. Which might be the problem here is that there are a lot of really cool villains, but they're all kind of like, aside from Kylo Ren,
For
who we'll
later.
get to. And there's so much to do, especially with Kylo Ren's character. Like, we might have a little bit too much, like, crowded with villains, but not based on like their different attributes, but like they're so cool and they're so rounded. It's like, how are you going to fit that into anything other than like 3-hour movies?
Yeah, but
like-
at the very least, they're not throwaway.
Oh,
No,
definitely
absolutely
not.
no. It's good that they're this way. I just wish we could somehow balance it out more, but we really can't do that. Phasma and Hux could be the central villain of the Empire. The Empire Strikes Back.
The First Order Strikes Back. You know what? I'm going to
guess.
start calling episode 8 First Order Strikes Back.
Well, okay. Like what I meant was, you know, in the prequels, the
First Order
villains
attacks again.
the villains they kind of shoved in there really didn't do much for me, you know, especially like Grievous in 3. We see him in the beginning and he's gone, and that could have been a great villain, you know.
I mean, Obi-Wan fought him. He's there.
Yeah, and to be
Yeah.
fair, he was okay. Not to distract the conversation too much, but he was introduced in the Clone Wars before.
Okay,
he
but yeah, I'm
changed the
talking.
movie.
Yeah, but I'm talking specifically
the
about
animated,
this. I'm talking specifically about these original movies. And what I like about these villains is that they serve a purpose in the film, and they're really good. Like they're
Yeah.
interesting characters.
Yeah, while we're on villains, should we get to Snoke?
Yeah, sure.
Kind of before
Snoke.
we're going.
Crazy.
Bring her to me.
I like Snoke. I hope this is there's something else to the character.
Oh,
I-
absolutely.
I'm almost
this guy's
100%
seen
sure-
some stuff.
I'm almost 100% sure that he's Ozing, where the man behind the curtain is like
Oh,
feeble and not
totally.
powerful at all. I mean, we already know this was a hologram.
Yeah. Although I know everybody has a problem with this, but like I don't mind if he was an actual giant. I wouldn't mind that. I don't know. Like,
I wouldn't either. It'd be weird, but they could pull it off. And my biggest thing, I am totally on board with the fan theory that Snoke is Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Oh,
What?
whoa, really?
Whoa,
That would be awesome.
what?
Well, okay,
No,
think
that's
about it
a
this
fan
way.
theory. No way, but he died.
Well,
Palpatine
yeah,
made sure of that.
the only Force user that's ever been able to cheat death just dies. Come on,
Yeah,
Oh.
right. Come on.
he could come
Yeah.
back.
That would be
I would
awesome.
totally buy
Can we
it.
please?
Not
Let's
okay,
please.
as the YouTuber Hello Greedo has said many times, not everything has to be connected. You don't need to have
No, but
every.
think about how-
Snoke can just be a cool guy. What if he's like? I was thinking, what if he's like Yoda's size? Like that's the whole thing.
Oh,
Like
okay.
he's
So he
like
is
he's
totally
the Yoda of
Ozzy,
this
yeah.
universe, and as it turns out, if you have a Yoda on the dark side, it's like whoa, that could be powerful.
I don't know.
'Cause,
I like the idea of it being Darth Plagueis because that would tie in the prequels because it kind of rubs me the wrong way that we have this same villain, Chancellor Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine, Darth Sidious, them, but in the the prequels and the original trilogy, and for the sequel trilogy, the big bad is a new guy. It feels a little off, but if instead it was someone who predated the previous villain that was mentioned in Episode 3 that came back because of Palpatine's death, you could link it to Palpatine's death itself. That could be very interesting. So I'm totally on board with the theory. I really hope they do it, but we'll see. Because
That'd
honestly,
be
look at his
awesome.
head. Like he could have been stabbed through the face with a lightsaber. That's what it'd look like. So
Yeah, does anyone else feel like kind of looks like his face kind of looks like one of those guys in Mos Eisley that plays the instruments? I don't know. Just that was the first thing that came to my
That's
mind.
I
that's
see
the
him more
twist.
as the guy who talks to Luke. He's like, I don't like you either. Like that guy.
yeah, his face pretty messed up.
Yep.
What if that is Snoke and he just has like a robotic arm and he's just pissed. He wants to find Luke Skywalker. So he's like, dude,
That's
that's the
his
guy who got his. Yeah,
Wow.
he's just mad.
That'd be so
Damn.
weak.
That'd be
Okay, so
funny.
so let's move on. Should we go on
Oh
to?
wait!
classic-
By the way, Andy Serkis, great job.
Oh,
I
of
mean,
course,
I think we should
of course.
point that out.
We'll see
there.
more of him in the next movie, though. We'll see.
Yeah,
more.
but good job, Serkis.
Yeah.
Nice work.
So let's talk about returning characters. Let's talk about Leia first.
Well, okay. I honestly was surprised how much I love Leia. Like I was rewatching the original trilogy. I didn't realize how big of a fan I was, and seeing her back
Awesome.
was awesome.
Yeah, she's great. Great character.
And
Especially
I wish she was in it a
she's
bit
calmed down. Like there's a recurring theme with all these returning characters that they are very much not themselves from a long time ago, but like no, they are aged versions of their characters. Like they have basically taken an entire 30 years of psychology and put them into the character, and I think there's like Leia has definitely calmed down a lot.
Yeah, she was pretty brash in the original.
She was brash and very neurotic, and we see her now as like a much more like calm and much more like capable leader, and I think that's very important. I think that adds a lot to her psychology and stuff.
Yeah, it was a natural progression. Like it just it felt right.
Very
She
natural,
wasn't,
very
I guess like Prince Leia has a little kind of spunky, kind of takes no nonsense. Like she's much more like like you said, a better leader because she seems much more willing to like actually listen to people. That was fun about Leia in the original trilogy. Will someone get this walking carpet out of my way? That's fun.
Yeah,
She and the other character that we'll talk about in a second. I think they have like some of the best conversations in the movie.
Yeah, Leia and Han they're great.
For
And
all that we fought, I always hated seeing you leave. And it's like that's like that kind of thing. They have really great. First off, those characters have always had great chemistry, or those actors. And the fact is, they're not like abused. Like it's not abused, like in a certain Spider-Man movie. But it's just like sort of there, and it's like okay, the scene that they're there for, it's like 2 scenes, and it's like good. It's like good stuff. I really like Leia in this. I want to see her more in the next one. That's a lot of characters seem to be kind of like here they are. Okay, we'll see them. Like
I honestly I have a suspicion that because the New Republic was just wiped out and all the senators are gone, Leia's going to step up as like the new leader of the Republic.
Okay, that is a thing that we would talk about after we get through other characters. I want to talk about that whole thing. Okay, so then let's go to C-3PO.
Well, C-3PO was funny, and then R2-D2 was barely there, so those two we can kind of just brush off.
Yeah, I feel like I was looking back at some like trailer analysis videos. People thought that like the R2 scene with Luke on the hand or whatever, that was like C-3PO's funeral or something like that.
What?
Yeah. Like, first
kind
off,
of a weird
they don't
thing
have
to do.
funerals for droids, even though C-3PO is hilarious, and we will miss him greatly. Like, he's not... We don't give him a Jedi funeral, okay?
Right.
But yeah, he was in the movie. I only wonder what that red arm is. What's up with that red arm? There must be a reason.
Yeah.
Like, why did he have
something.
it? Probably be explained in the EU, honestly. Let's see.
Maz?
Okay, so... Maz! Oh, yeah, Maz Kanata. Loved Maz Kanata. It's sad. I remember when Lupita Nyong'o was announced to be a part of the movie, and everybody's like, "Oh, of course they're gonna take this woman of color and they're gonna like make her into an alien." And Finn aside, I was kind of worried about that, but no, this character, I thought that she would be like another comic relief character because she was right next to R2 and C-3PO in the poster, but no, she's like this really awesome, wise, sort of she's basically the closest thing we have to a Yoda of the sequel.
Well, okay,
trilogy.
see, that's the thing. When everyone said, including JJ, JJ Abrams said that she's the Yoda of the movie, I was worried because I don't want another Yoda. We had Yoda, he's fine, but I was kind of tired of the completely always perfectly right, measured wisdom, untouchable. I'm right. It felt off, and especially in the prequels when I can go on a whole spiel on why the Jedi are kind of idiots in the prequels, and it's very interesting, and their mindset is upsetting to me because they cause anyway. I didn't want another character like that, and so it was so weird when they go into her like castle place, and it was a cantina. I'm like, oh, I don't think she's a Yoda, and sure enough, she's not.
She's not Yoda.
She's spirited. She's wise, absolutely, but she has an attitude. She's kindly without being Yoda-y about it. She's a great character, and I was not turned away by the CGI. I think she was done really well.
I think she was done extremely well, and I love her. I love her entire her mysterious demeanor. Like,
she's a little mysterious, but in the end of the day, she felt like she just ran a bar, and that was fun. There's definitely more to her, but she was way more down to earth than Yoda. Yeah, she was like a super down to earth, fun Yoda. And that's a great character.
One of my favorite lines of the whole movie really is one of her lines. It's the line that I may be no Jedi, but I know the Force. Yeah. And I don't know why Star Wars is never it really has barely ever touched upon characters who may not be a Jedi or a Sith, but yet understand what the Force is, and that's very interesting. It basically makes her in a way the Yoda, but not Yoda. And I think that just her entire... I mean, part of me really wants to know a little bit more, but then again, we have all these characters, and we need to, set priorities. But she has this mysterious order that really engages you, and CGI, motion capture, really good, especially the eyes thing. The eyes thing was awesome.
I loved her introduction when she puts up her eyes and goes, Han Solo, and he's like, oh boy. And I will say, she was in the movie just the right amount.
I think so.
She had a prominent role, enough to put her on the poster, but she was not too much. I wish I could have seen her at the end.
Yeah, we don't know what happened to her.
I think she's gonna be fine. I know that she got her bar destroyed. She's gonna be okay. We'll see her the next one, right? Is that confirmed?
I don't think that's confirmed yet. We'll see. I wouldn't mind if she
sat
out
that somebody
and came back for
at the premiere said we'll be seeing these faces
again.
Yeah,
Kathleen Kennedy, but Harrison Ford was also in that lineup. So
he could be. What if not going to spin out too much in the fan theories. What if he becomes one with the Force because he helped out maintain balance? I know that would be a little bit too much though because
I don't want Force Han.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure we'll see Maz Kanata again. I'm glad because she's a really great character. Anyway, so. Who's next?
Honestly,
Chewie?
we're kind of... Yeah, okay, Chewie's fine. He's fine. Great scene with that woman healing him.
I think, got a much more important role than ever before. I think, especially given what happens in the movie, I think we get a lot more emotion and stuff from him. He's not just a sidekick anymore. He has to, maintain the role of, okay, I have to defend my friend, and I have to do this stuff. And it's he's still a sidekick, but he's given, a bit of an emotional, moment. And it's nice, because you've never seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
he's fun.
Yeah.
Yep, awesome.
He's basically a dog.
Yeah.
It was a great scene when he was being
healed. He's the best dog because he shoots guns and helps the guy.
I like this thing.
I really liked him in this movie. It's the first time I've been Chewbacca, because I know everybody loves Chewie, but I've just never been all about Chewie as much as
me neither. I like Chewie, but I haven't been
all right, so I guess we should just really quickly. Luke was great. It was exactly as it needed
2 minutes.
To be.
Yes, he was great.
2 minutes he was in there. It made all the difference in the world.
But he felt like Luke. I honestly was worried that I would just see Mark Hamill because I've seen old Mark Hamill in other things, older Mark Hamill, in other things. It would be I would feel it's just Mark Hamill, but it looked like Luke, and it looked like this old worn Luke, and there was so much history. And
you can see those eyes. There's shame
there was
in there.
So much pain. And when Rey was holding out the lightsaber, that's probably my favorite moment in the film because it was this wonderful shared moment that they're both so scared of what they know they have to do. Because Rey
what could they possibly be? Speculation for later. But
speculation for later.
That was I wonder if he was actually supposed to say a line and they cut it out just because I thought there was such a great little moment.
No, I don't think so because every Star Wars movie has ended with a scene with no dialogue, so I think they kept that.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah. Sometimes
I never even
half
thought
a scene,
about that.
but it pretty much always always ends with a scene with no dialogue.
My God. I mean, Wow, that's true. There's no dialogue in any of those scenes.
And
Not even at the very end.
Yep, no. And can I just laugh
Not even at the very beginning when episode 1. Like, there's nothing of that.
Yeah, can I just
Wow.
laugh at people? The evil Luke theory was so dumb. I'm so glad it didn't happen.
Just-
Oh my
Nope.
god, are you guys kidding me with that? Shut up.
It would have ruined Anakin's arc and Luke's. It would have just erased 6 movies. It would have been terrible.
Yeah,
terrible
and
idea.
listen, that's where fandom comes into play. As J.J. Abrams, as a fan of the original trilogy, would have not done that. But yeah, I'm glad he was in there. So, let's get to the main returning character that we're all talking about, that people were going crazy about when we first saw him, the one and only Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
He was great. I think he was really great. I was, again, like Kanata, he had just enough screen time to where it wasn't
but
like...
he was major, and that was good.
He was a major character, but again, he was passing the torch, but it wasn't like really obvious. He was just like, he was there too, you know, and he's like, oh yeah, we're gonna help you out, we're gonna do the things. And it's
Right,
like,
he didn't
there you go.
feel like a sidekick. He really was
Yeah.
the Obi-Wan of this movie, where he was kind of the guide. He was pushing the plot along. He was giving advice, but he was, interacting.
Yeah,
off
and
them
again,
in much more
he
human
was very
ways.
much. I think the critic Jeremy Johns said this best. He was not Han Solo again. He was Han Solo, not 30 years later, just 30 years older Han Solo.
Yeah.
Where he had a life and he had seen things and he had aged, but that personality quirk was still in there. You know, it's like we use the Force. That's not how the Force works. This movie's very quotable, by the way. I should say,
and
This
he
movie's
wasn't
very
like
quotable.
old grizzled. Like I was worried, that they were gonna come back, and he's like, "I've seen things, the Force. I'm Han Solo." It's like, no, you're not. But like as soon as he and Chewie were like surrounded by those smugglers at the beginning, he's like, "Same thing I do every time. Talk my way out of it." And Chewie does, and he's like, "Yes, I do every time." Like that was Han. Like I was so glad. This is Han.
Yeah, there's Han
an
Solo
old
in
grizzly
there,
man
but it's not
pretending
like
to be
he's
him.
not like an emulation. Though I will say he is responsible, I think, for the actual worst part of this movie. Like, and I actually mean that is that whole scene on the freighter, whatever.
You know what?
Which
I'm
is-
glad you agree. That is the only thing I am hard negative on.
Yeah, that's so useless, Larry. Larry, come on.
What? I was just waiting for my turn. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I see a lot of people in uproar about that scene, and I don't know. I thought music is really good in the scene. The action was okay. I guess the design.
It's a good scene. It's just so unnecessary. There's no.
I guess
there's
so.
no
I don't know.
reason.
The design of the what are they called? The
Rathals?
Rathitars or whatever.
Something.
I think they are a little bit too like.
They felt Star Trek to me.
Yeah, they do
Yeah.
feel a little bit too tentacly and too like
Did you
computer
guys hear they
generated.
burped like Sarlacc?
Yeah,
guys
it was
hear
the
that?
pretty much like mobile Starlight, but
Yeah.
I was
I don't
hard
know.
off. No, that design bad. But I did like the idea where when we meet Han Solo again after all these years, it's the exact same thing. He's
Yeah.
surrounded by people that he screwed over in deals. Like we were right back with Han. It was great. Great way to
And
reintroduce
this time
him.
he did not shoot first. It's true.
No, he did not. And I loved the line, "There's no one left in the galaxy for you to swindle." It's like perfect. Also, when I heard them, like, "Oh yeah, he's dead." He's dead. That
Yeah,
was just
I-
another line of like,
I don't know. I don't think the scene. I mean, it can be argued that it's unnecessary, but I don't think that the scene takes away anything from the film.
I think it just kind of puts the film in a grinding halt. I'm not sure why they put it in there because, like, I want to say, oh yeah, it's to give Han Solo like more central time, but like, there's plenty of scenes with him. He really is the biggest important, like, the biggest returning character. Like, it feels like honestly, we could. The only thing that happens, I was watching this as I watched the second run through of the movie, is when Chewie gets hit.
Uh-huh.
And there's that whole thing where it's like, oh man, he's in trouble now. If they had cut that out entirely and cut that whole scene, I think the film would have flowed even better. Would have been a 9, honestly.
I just think it could have been made shorter, and the monster design needed to be a lot better
there's
and
no
feel more Star
reason
Wars.
for it. And it's so weird because everything else has a reason, has a purpose, but this
It was a fun
yeah.
little escape sequence, and Star Wars movies
Yeah.
do that a lot. The entire first act of Episode 6 is an escape. The Death
Right.
Star in Act 2 of A New Hope is an escape. 5, has them trying to escape from Cloud City at the end. Like, escapes are a big thing in Star Wars. It was cool to see that, and it was funny. Again, I like that we rejoined Han Solo. It's like, in 30 decades, has he changed his ways? Nope. Like,
That's awesome,
it's
and that's
fun.
great. And I think
There's
it works
no
even
one left
better.
for you to swing.
That works really great with the idea that I see Han Solo as the guy who just cannot commit to anything. Like,
Right.
not only can he not commit to like these deals, but he can't commit to his, I guess, like Leia, did they got married? I guess
I don't know. Yeah, I don't
it's
know
not
if they-
confirmed.
I don't know if marriage is really a thing in this galaxy outside of weird
there is.
Jedi.
Anakin
No,
and Padme.
it's definitely a thing.
Yes.
Marriage
Yeah, I
is a
mean,
thing.
It has to be a thing, otherwise the Jedi wouldn't forbid it. Like,
Right, yeah, but it's like, I mean, like, he can't commit to his quote-unquote wife. He can't commit to his son. You know,
except he
it's like
does
there's...
in the end.
Yeah,
Kind
until he kicks the bucket. But I mean, it's an exploration of a really interesting character. I just wish they did a little bit more with it. I don't know. Like, I feel like just there was one scene where Leia and Han talk, and then the very next scene, or at least the very next time that, you know, like just a couple minutes later, we have that confrontation. I just feel like, I don't know. I know we have a lot that we're juggling in the film, but it feels like there was not enough time, in my opinion, for Han Solo to really just talk about Kylo.
Here's something that I think I'll bring up here, and we'll touch on it again when we get to Kylo Ren. Han's death was something that, you know, I saw coming. It was, you know, kind of...
Well, especially when you saw the
expected
bridge.
it.
You know,
okay,
come on.
can we? Yeah. Okay, really. That whole scene. Yes. Forget like, oh, you know, I totally thought that Han was going to die. No. That whole scene was designed to be predicted from the very beginning. We have, first off, we have the lighting. We have on this impossible catwalk. We have the two main characters who we'll get to later watching without being able to do anything. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, I turned to my friend. I'm like, you know what's going to happen, right? And as I found out, he did know what's going to happen because a friend of his spoiled the two big twists in this movie on Facebook because that person is a piece of garbage. But like, I still knew exactly what was going to happen, and like everybody else was like, "What?"
It was impressive.
What, are you serious?
My first watch, it was impressive because my first watch through, I absorbed very little. I was so overwhelmed with actually seeing it. It was hard for me to accept it as Star Wars because I was talking with a friend about it. Like, for our entire lives, Star Wars has been the same. Like, it's all the movies have been out, so we've just been rewatching Star Wars. This was the first time that we were seeing something new, and we were being told to accept it as Star Wars. You know, like, we've never been through that, so it was hard for me the first time to absorb like anything. But the one thing I did absorb was that scene, and it was leading up. Kylo Ren was there in the oscillators building, I guess, whatever, and Han saw him, and I'm like, "Yep, this is where it happens." I was like, "Yep, okay, fine." But then as soon as Han stepped out there, my heart just started beating so fast because like, it's actually happening. It was so effective. Like, that was like the one thing that really got me was the build up to that scene was exceptionally well done. And when it was actually happening, I was realizing just how much Han Solo is an awesome character, and it was tough. It was a brutal scene.
It is. I just wish they could have like. Did you guys notice how like there was like blue and red lighting on Kylo Ren's face, and then
that was one of my favorite
it was like,
parts.
oh,
It
he's had red
wonderful.
lighting,
And
That was one of
when
my
the sun went away, it was
favorite
so
all red.
on the
Great.
nose.
But
Although,
it's
to be
okay.
fair, though, guys,
Come on, it's Star Wars.
Can we be a little honest, though? The whole draining the sun to help the dark
we'll
side,
get there.
getting
That's
rid
cool.
of the light.
As long as there's light, there's still hope.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Like, that's the imagery a little too.
We'll get to that once we get to the other
obvious.
characters. Okay, we're almost done.
Right.
We're almost getting there.
But I will say, what I wanted to get to at the beginning of Han thing, with the Han death thing, one note I have, but it's kind of a plus, kind of negative. For a death of Han Solo, as in we have him for a whole trilogy and most of this movie, his death was way more in service to Kylo Ren's character than his.
Yeah,
If you ask someone how Han Solo dies at the end of Episode 6, I mean, if you ask Harrison Ford, he would say, you know, sacrifice himself to save his friends and, you know, probably take down the shield in the
that's
end.
how it was supposed to go, right?
Or, you know, some smuggling thing goes so wrong and others get tied up and he finally has to own up to what he did, like pretty much the carbonite, only he's killed instead. Like, that's how you expect Han Solo to go. And while it was very good that we saw him more emotional than we ever have, we're having to confront his son, that was very good. In terms of the death of Han Solo, it was way more, the scene felt way more the murder of his father, of Kylo Ren. It was definitely in service to Kylo Ren's character and not Han Solo's, which is a negative, seen as he's like this beloved return character. So his death, which is this major set piece, was in service of a new character. But it's a plus when we get to Kylo Ren, and it was a big push to make him more interesting. And I'm glad he got this new scene.
What about Obi-Wan, though? Was Obi-Wan's death in service to his own character or in service to Luke's?
Well, here's the thing. It was in service of Luke's until the prequels happened. And then we got the journey that Obi-Wan was having. And we got that he was returning to kind of his ultimate failure and realized in order to help Luke properly. But we're not going to probably get that. So now we just see
a trilogy of prequels that take place in between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy starting on.
We need midquels, is basically
Oh, God.
Yeah,
And
between 6 and
at
7.
this point, the original trilogy are mid-quels. Ah, Jesus.
Oh, yeah, pretty much. Well, I just call it the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and the sequel trilogy. That's all. That seems pretty simple.
It's gonna get out of hand. All right, but let's see. So I guess we should move on from there to. Well, let's see. Should I talk about the reveal of Kylo Ren's?
Do we just do Kylo Ren? Because he's kind of like it's a natural progression
He's
from Han.
my favorite character.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Not mine, but he's still a great character.
Let me just quickly go on a little thing about Kylo, why I love Kylo so much. And I know I made this whole spiel about how I shouldn't really be comparing this film to the Star Wars as a franchise, but I'm going to do it here.
No,
because
I think you should. I think Star Wars is designed to be compared to each other and to point
out.
out.
Stanzas rhyme with each other.
Yes, but
Exactly,
when I'm talking about the film on a quality standpoint, I think the most important is to discuss its quality on its own rather than comparing it. But here's why I love Kylo Ren so much, right? Almost every villain that we've gotten in past Star Wars films are just these brutish, impenetrable, intimidating, just like perfectly evil characters.
Yeah.
Besides for Darth Vader a little bit at the end of episode 6.
Yeah, again, that's something people don't realize. When I was rewatching the original trilogy, Vader does not get any characterization outside of him being a big threat until 6. And that's what makes the Machete Order so cool, is you get Anakin's backstory, and then you come back to 6, and suddenly he's a character. Suddenly he's three-dimensional.
I think that's also because we have been exposed to the prequels, and we know a lot about more about Anakin Skywalker. Now, back in the day, before those movies existed, it might have been a little bit more challenging to see.
But 6 is definitely when he's characterized, not 4 or 5.
Yeah. I'm just like, if you take the original trilogy and you look at Darth Vader, except for a little bit at the end of episode 6, there's no real conflict.
Oh, I think 6 he's very good conflict.
Well, yeah, until 6 is what I'm saying. But at 4 and 5, he's basically just this large, dark,
he's a force to be reckoned
villain.
with. Is basically his only role in 4 and 5.
And same with Darth Sidious. He's basically just the evil guy who's pulling all the strings. There's not that much character, excluding the prequels. And then when you look at the prequels, you have like Dooku and Grievous, who are just kind of these throwaway, and Darth Maul especially, these throwaway villains, right? That are intimidating, but just they're not flawed. There's no interesting character. Kylo Ren is the first time in Star Wars, the main episodes, where we are getting a villain that is not fully emotionally composed. He's not this perfectly dark, fully on the dark side guy. And, people were complaining to me that Kylo Ren would take his mask off so many times. And I'm like,
I think it was great.
That's a perfect decision, because Kylo Ren is a guy. He's a guy who had daddy issues.
His face is so clean. It's not altered by the dark side.
That's perfect. And it's just like, he's a guy with daddy issues, just like most of the people on the Sith, who is trying so hard to prove to himself that he's a member of the dark side, who's constantly getting these, it's basically Darth Vader's problem that he sort of had in episode 6, but just way more interesting.
Well, yeah.
I love the scenes where Kylo Ren is he learns information and he just takes out his lightsaber and just starts throwing a temper tantrum.
No, he's a child. I love it. He does throw tantrums.
You can write a whole formal essay about this guy.
Yeah, and it's so great. It's so great to see a flawed villain. And you can say Anakin Skywalker also, but the villain really, hits in at episode 3.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. He was not, Kylo Ren was built from the ground up to be a flawed villain. Yeah. Darth Vader was not Anakin Skywalker until...
Exactly. Right. And that's why I think Kylo Ren needs to be valued so much, because there is this such an interesting character here. And I know, Sean, you were saying about how Han's death was more so to service
Kylo Ren's. Yeah, and
to service Kylo Ren's character.
Because Kylo Ren's my favorite character.
Yes, exactly. If I didn't, normally I would say, Han Solo's character kind of doesn't really fit exactly, but I think it's worth it to service Kylo's character.
Yeah.
It's just, it's such a great character.
Because he really is fascinating. I love the idea of someone on the dark side being tempted by the light.
Yep.
It's treated... So, okay, I'll get to it later, and it'll come back up, but basically Kylo Ren is reverse Anakin. Yeah. From the prequels, because he's he is a Jedi. He is fighting for Republic. He does believe in this and, saves Obi-Wan. He is a good Jedi, honestly. But he keeps being tempted by the dark side. And so here we get a good Sith. He's, torturing people. He's wiping out villages. He's doing all the dark side stuff, but he's tempted by the light. It's just, it's an exact flip on that, what we've seen before of the dark side is tempting. No, it's the light now. And I think that's really fascinating. And killing Han is, I think, supposed to be him solidifying his dark side. I don't think that's going to work out for him. I hope not.
Have you guys
because
heard
that
about
would
the
make
theory that like
character-
he's actually doing all this because he knows of what Anakin did, like of how he became Darth Vader and became evil, and then
Yeah,
he did
probably.
like the big thing. There's like a theory about that. I don't know.
I mean, probably think about it. That was basically Obi-Wan's scene again.
Yeah.
Luke screaming no was exactly like Rey screaming no. Like it was pretty much the same thing. So it could very well be. And I love that it was a brilliant idea to make him idolize Darth Vader because look, he's in black. He's got the helmet. He's got the red lightsaber. He's a dark force user. He's with the pretty much Empire. Everyone's going to look at that character and say, "What a Darth Vader wannabe." So why don't you just make him a literal Darth Vader wannabe? And they did. He's literally trying to be Darth Vader, and that made
finish
it
what we started. It's like perfect.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So
good.
All right.
Such
So
good
that's
character.
great. So let's move on quickly to Finn, because Finn is awesome.
Okay.
Good comedy, good comic relief.
Finn is like I think Andre Meadows of Black and Comedy said this best. It's like they took somebody from Earth and put them in a Star Wars movie.
yeah,
Here's-
I like
He has
that.
information for Luke Skywalker. Oh, you got to be kidding me!
Here's the thing. Here's the problem with that statement. It's like they took someone from Earth and put them in a Star Wars movie. Finn is actually the character I have the most problem with in the movie.
What?
Here's why.
No.
You
Hear him
said
out,
it
hear him
yourself. You said it yourself, Max. That it's a person. It's like you took someone from Earth and put him in the Star Wars universe.
That's not a bad thing, though. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Let it. Hear him out. Hear him out.
It is when you think, what is his actual background?
He doesn't have one. That's the thing.
No, he does. What's his
like,
background? He was
the First
from
Order.
a child raised to be First Order. You get someone who, as like a 5-year-old, like there's a picture of him, and when Phasma was talking to Hux about him, like he looks like 5 or
apparently
4,
an actual picture of John Boyega as
which
like,
is
5-year-old.
adorable. But
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
since really early, being trained to be a stormtrooper, First Order, all this, and yet, like a day after leaving this Nazi-esque entire life being trained, he's talking to Rey like, "You got a boyfriend back home? Cute boyfriend?
That's
Who is that?"
okay.
Who
That's
is
the
that?
one line that actually took me out of the movie completely. As much as I love Finn, that's the one line that really just like, whoa. The first off, there are no boyfriends or girlfriends. There are just wives and husbands. There are people who are in love and the people who are not.
Actually, I did appreciate that there was no romantic relationship between those two in the movie.
No, that's
And
good.
so that kind of ruined it a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of subtle hinting. But
No, I
but,
strongly say they shouldn't do it.
Oh,
They have a
I don't
good
know.
friendship
I don't know
going.
whether or not they should or shouldn't do it, but I think there is some hinting for sure.
No,
Right.
I didn't catch anything. Hopefully they weren't going for it because I didn't pick up on it. But anyway, he felt way too funny. He felt way too... where is he getting all these emotions from? How is he going to be kind of this normal-ish guy with such a weird upbringing? He felt like the character. I got his struggle, like trying to run and then accepting they can't run and help me. I got it, definitely. But at the end of the day, I don't know how he acted was grounded. I don't think it was grounded. It felt like they dropped his backstory in terms of how he acts and the lines he says. Like, his actions fit. Trying to run, the arc of him not running, it worked. It works really well. It's simple, but that's fine. But how he acts feels way off. And yeah, he's funny. I like Finn. I do. I think he's a good character. And he is funny. And John Boyega did a great job. I just feel like it wasn't grounded. The backstory they gave is different than the character we saw. That's my thing. I think it is kind of a poorly based character in how he acts.
I can
That's my
understand
biggest
that.
note on the film.
I can understand that, but I also think that like his whole thing about being like a try-hard hero, I love that. I love everything about that. I love his character because okay, fine, it doesn't make much sense, but it's still really functional, and it's still like very fascinating for him to like pick up the torch of like, oh yeah, I have to be. Basically, he's kind of saying I have to be Luke Skywalker, even though he doesn't know Luke Skywalker. That's his whole thing is I have to be the hero, and then he's not. It's like. Not only is it a statement on, obvious gender politics that happen in this universe, how like all the guys are the heroes and the girls are like, not, but like in this case, it's much more fascinating for him to like try to be, force sensitive, to try to use a lightsaber when he can't do that anyway. Like it's
Also, that's another thing I called. Finn's not a Jedi, and I'm glad. I don't want him to be a Jedi. He was an interesting character on his own. I didn't need anything.
He knows how to build a lightsaber. I mean, and apparently everybody can use the Force, right? Like if you just try enough, right?
No. You have to be Force sensitive.
Yeah.
That's
why
a thing.
that's why that what makes that
That's
scene
dumb.
so.
It's always been dumb. Everybody should be
No,
able to
it's
use the
not.
Force.
No, it's not dumb at all. It makes perfect sense.
Maz Kanata
actually.
cannot use the Force, but she knows of it. She can feel it. But she can't go throwing around stuff like and doing flips like Jedi can. I think
that's what, like,
it makes sense because otherwise,
yeah, the Force is a. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
Well, it's just like then, like what every stormtrooper could just be trained to be doing lightning. Like that's
Right.
I was just thinking, like, what if I was just thinking of an action scene where Maz Kanata had a lightsaber, and I'm like, oh, is that how people react to Yoda having a lightsaber in the prequels?
Well, see, that's the thing. That would just be too Yoda. Too much. I don't want her to be like Yoda.
But
She's
just
very
look
unique.
dumb. Like that's not what Maz Kanata is, and now I understand why people are like, Yoda with a lightsaber is really stupid because
It's not. It's awesome because he's a Jedi.
Yeah.
He should have one.
Right. Okay.
Well, I mean,
I love Finn's character. I do. I know that it's not consistent, but I think as now I don't want to use this as an excuse for all the problems, but as we go on in this trilogy, I think we're going to learn a lot more about like how he was raised, like how it was.
And I think we'll get more grounding on that.
Maybe he had a friend who told him about all these stories about the Empire and stuff, like or about Jedi and stuff. He's like, I want to be a hero like that. I don't want to be here. This is bad. I'm out. Peace.
Yeah. And maybe that was the Stormtrooper that died and did the blood on hand mask.
Okay, that whole thing was very, very cheesy.
It worked. And it was a good way to mark him. Like we'd have to know it was Finn. And like the shot
I know that, but like the blood, come on. First off, you don't get blood when you get hit by a laser. Come on.
Yeah, you do.
It's true. Oh, come on.
I just don't really
it goes through your skin.
Yeah. I mean, lightsabers have the like cauterizing the wound thing, but
right, yeah. Yeah,
whatever.
I liked it. I will say though, the one thing about, I mean, I agree a little bit with Sean. There are some moments. The one moment specifically is with Maz in the bar. Like Finn is so into being a hero, and so ready to join it. Way.
He was just trying to run. Like he stated that. I never saw him as like a wannabe hero. He had to pretend to be the hero. Whereas it's like you're with Resistance. And he said, obviously, I'm with the Resistance. I'm with the Resistance.
Okay, but why would he?
But his actual desires were pretty clear. And that was actually my favorite scene with Finn, with Maz. Because that's how he should act. When he's like, where I'm from, what I've seen, we all need to run. There's no fighting. That felt grounded. That's how he should be acting. Like that felt right. That felt right. And it's not like he was devoid of humor in those moments or like uber serious, but that felt more grounded than the rest of the movie for Finn.
Yeah, but how... I don't know. Like, I mean, why would he lie and say he's part of the Resistance?
That's because Rey looked at him with like actual admiration and respect. That's what the line, like, he looked at me like no one else had, and so he kind of had to roll with it. And Poe asked if he was Resistance. Like, he just rolled with it to get away. I think that made a lot of sense with the character.
And then they fly the Millennium Falcon and meet Han Solo, and he's still like, "Oh yeah, totally Resistance."
Yeah, why not keep up the charade?
Because it's just like, if you're getting with those characters, like knowing that Rey is determined to get BB-8 back to the Resistance base, I wouldn't be. It felt too much like a shift. I don't know. Something about that scene just felt a little too. And also the way it was shot and the way it's like, come with me, run away with me. It felt kind of soapish, I think
that's his point. Like he's trying to be like this dramatic, theatrical Star Wars character. It's like he stumbled across like it's like he was flying through space and then he saw the title crawl like that was just coming through space and he's like, oh my god, I'm in a movie. All right, guys should act theatrical. It's sort of like that. And I realize there's not much there's not much consistency with his psychology, but I think I still love his character and like how he does. Now we should probably move on to the last character.
Well, I do want to say one thing on Finn. He has good chemistry with Rey, but he has amazing chemistry with Poe. I loved those two and their escape.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I'm so excited for Episode 8 that they're both going to be with the Resistance. They better have an epic bromance is the term the internet uses. They better keep that up because those two are great.
Like, a YouTube critic said, like, they established a friendship, a bond in, like, 4 minutes, and the prequels did it, like, in 6 hours. Like, it makes a lot of sense. It's like, they're just good. They're buddies. It's good. And all people out there who honestly said that, like, he's Calrissian's son, no, shut up.
Actually, he still might be. Why not?
No. Black people are not just... Never mind.
You don't understand the... Look, Max, here's the argument. The argument is they stated that they didn't give last names for a reason, and there's literally 2 options because Star Wars has had terrible diversity. This isn't a... You don't get the argument.
Well, now we know that the reason why is because he's never had a last name, I guess.
Well, yeah, so it could very well be that he's no one, that he's just Finn, and that'd be fine. I'd be totally down with that. But also, he said, taken from a family I'll never know, like, there's still the option. There's still definitely the possibility.
All right. What's funny is that in that trailer, we hear, I've got nothing to fight for, and also, who are you? I'm no one. You could switch those two, and it'd still make the same amount of sense.
Yeah.
What? Which leads us into my favorite character in the movie, Rey. Rey is amazing in every freaking facet. She is. I like her more than Luke. I like her much more than Anakin. I like her character, her performance. Dang, Daisy Ridley is on fire, and honestly, I love everything that she is in conjunction with the Star Wars universe. I love that her, she's very much a hero that is centered on the whole reluctance of the call, and I think it's very, very interesting. Mm-hmm. And the fact that her past is so shrouded in mystery and not totally spelled out is interesting and fascinating. And yeah, it's she's the one character where we flash back to Kylo Ren and I'm like, oh no, go back to Rey. I want to see Rey. Not just because I have a celebrity crush on Daisy Ridley, but also because I really like Rey's character. I like who she is and how she does things.
I liked Rey, definitely. And this was, definitely a breakthrough for Daisy Ridley, but I honestly think that I'm gonna be floored in 8. I think, I guess honestly, throughout, I feel like there are times where she could dial it back 5%, the tiniest bit. Sometimes she was a bit much, a little too exuberant or stuff like that. But I really do appreciate that they took the 5 minutes of Luke in A New Hope where he's like, I have to stay here, and they just said no, that's the character. And he, again, I told you the whole reverse thing's gonna come back. Rey is reverse Luke, where Luke's I must get out there and adventure and
he's like, I'm not going anywhere. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Yeah, but Rey's the opposite. She's afraid of what's out there, and she feels tied to Jakku because of her family, and it was a brilliant idea. And it's a much more interesting character because Luke got what he wanted after the first act of Star Wars, of A New Hope. He was out having adventures. You're done. Boom. So he, failed to have much more conflict after that. But Rey, the entire movie, she wants to do the right thing. She has the bit of heroism for sure, and she definitely wants to get BB-8 back and all that. But the whole time she's trying to get back to Jakku, and so that reluctance, and then especially when she touches the lightsaber, and she's called into something so much greater, it felt right. Eventually, and I guess I'll come back to that she ran away from it. That it was something too big. It was kind of opposite of Luke, who wanted to be part of it more than anything. It's a more interesting character, that the reluctance, like you said, Max.
And the fact that she's forced, we're not sure what she is. Everybody's thinking that she's Luke's daughter, but I think there's something... What?
She totally is. I don't know what other option there is.
I've also heard the theory that she's somehow connected to the Kenobi family. But there is no Kenobi family. That's the thing.
Exactly. Obi-Wan didn't have any offspring. That would be
they didn't
kind
have
of
any
weird
offspring,
to throw
but
in.
did they ever have a sister who had an offspring? Is she
I guess we don't know
niece?
Obi-Wan's family, so maybe.
Yeah, we never. That's a weird thing that we never hear about. Who is Obi-Wan? Who's Obi-Wan?
We don't know. We have no background on Obi-Wan. I like
that's
that.
Weird. I was thinking about that. I'm like, we don't know who the hell Obi-Wan Kenobi is. That's weird. Anyway,
speaking of which, I did appreciate that they brought in Ewan McGregor for a line of dialogue. I don't know if you guys heard it.
And you hear Yoda in there too. By the way, she's also the recipient
4
of the best scene in the movie. That whole weird sequence.
I don't think that's the best scene in the movie. It's cool, but it's not the best scene in the movie.
Yeah,
and it came dangerously close to going full flashback, but I don't quite qualify it as flashback.
No. It's a bunch of different images of things. Yeah. People say it's Kylo Ren's backstory. I think it's just what the lightsaber has seen.
No, it's hers. It's the lightsaber, but it was also, I think she was there when Kylo Ren wiped out the new Jedi Order. She was young, and it was repressed probably by Luke when she was left on Jakku, but it seemed like she was there because she flashed to the rain, and we actually saw the Knights of Ren. That, we didn't see the Knights of Ren. We saw that's the one shot in the movie that has them. Yeah, but they were there. We saw them. I think she was there. I liked the scene, but it wasn't the best. It was good.
I don't know. I love that sequence. I love it. I went back there, and you really think that's is that something that she suppressed, or the Force helped
probably
suppress?
Did Force memory wipe or whatever.
Okay. The Force could do so many things. Maybe we don't have to give it more powers. All right. I love again, her whole reluctance to the call thing again is so fascinating. It's how and she also has another great scene in the movie. I think she's the recipient of the best scenes in the movie. All of them. even scenes that should not work well, like when she's being held down by Kylo Ren with the whole with the lightsaber, and she just says the Force, then she like pulls back. That shouldn't be a good scene, but it totally is.
It feels a little weird. I will.
Yeah, it does.
I will
Like,
say that.
why doesn't Kylo Ren just like Well, no.
I think the much better beat for her character and story wise is when she takes the lightsaber after
Awesome.
Kylo Ren just totally wrecks Finn.
So great.
Like that was a better beat. Which, by the way, thank goodness that they didn't try to make Finn like unrealistically good. He got just owned.
Yeah,
Yeah, that kind of makes him the Luke in a
And while
sense.
we're on the subject, I love how the lightsaber battle is coordinated. It's like it's not. It's like it's really. People are like, how could she have possibly bested Kylo Ren? First off, she's had a staff before. She's used
Seriously.
stick weapons. Secondly, the whole thing is that she feels connected with this lightsaber, and like a power that's connected with a lightsaber with good is much more powerful than somebody who got a really powerful red lightsaber and is just like not connected with the Force at all.
And let's be honest, she probably had lightsaber training before that was repressed.
But there was no training in there. Like no, even Kylo Ren, who has a lightsaber, he's never been trained in the art of the lightsaber.
Yeah. He was almost certainly trained by Luke. How else could he wipe out all of the Jedi?
He wasn't trained all that much before he turned to the dark side. But you can tell he's not like it isn't super coordinated. Like in the original trilogy, it was very much like a sword fight. Like it was very much like a fencing sort of thing. In the prequels, it was like dancing. Basically, it was just like In this one, it feels much more like rough, much more like hit. Like make sure you get the guy down. Don't try anything else. I think that was.
Well, I mean,
important.
that's just because Kylo's training. They make sense that Kylo's training isn't complete, so he's not perfect at fighting.
No, he's not.
That's why I love Rey, because she's so like she is reverse Luke, as you said, and she's also just a really great presence on screen. And yes, I'm totally down with the idea that a female character is the the main character. By the way, which I called as I found out back in June 2013. I'm like, you know how I make a Star Wars trilogy interesting? Female protagonist.
Well, yeah, they were probably. I mean, that was kind of it was the right thing to do, and it was just a good idea. But yeah,
and it's a good character. She's not like she's not just like, oh, it's a woman who's also actually a guy. It's like she has her own history that we're going to learn about in First Order Attacks Again. You know, whatever it is.
Actually, I like that. First Order Attacks Again.
Can I address something very quickly?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people on the good old interwebs are complaining that Rey is a Mary Sue. I want to make this really quick because I actually have an argument against it. What's wrong with making her character just an intuitive person? Like, am I the only person who, like, it's just like, I feel that something that Star Wars doesn't really have is somebody who's just like really good, quick on their feet and intuitive. You could argue Han is, but yet he constantly gets involved in all these deals that never go well.
Let's say they have an explanation. She apparently, like, all the ships she scavenged had like
exactly. There's
simulation modes. Like she knows how to fly because of that. That's as much background as Luke got with. He was just he bullseyed womp rats in his T-87 back home, Baker's Canyon. Like
there's plenty of explainable things. She has a throwaway line where she says that she's flown a ship before.
Yeah,
she has a staff that's basically. I mean, I don't think, honestly, from a staff to a lightsaber, I don't think is that much of a jump.
If they don't give her a double-sided lightsaber, I will be so upset.
I would think that would be really cool.
If she
honestly,
needs to get a staff lightsaber. She already knows how to fight with a staff. Do it. And you're like, Luke can't train in that style. That has never stopped Star Wars. Like, it is factual. It is canon that Anakin and Obi-Wan have drastically different fighting styles. Like, Anakin's is type 4, Obi-Wan is type 2. Drastically different. I'm kind of a nerd, you guys. And yet he can still learn how to fight that way without Obi-Wan's help. So yeah, give her a staff lightsaber,
please.
And purple would look good. I'm just throwing it out there, but
cool.
Probably blue. Green. I don't think Rey's a green. I don't think she's a green. Blue or purple.
I don't think she's a green lightsaber. I think she's more of a blue.
Hey, I'm a big proponent of picking out the right lightsaber color for people. Don't even get me started.
Well, and and also people are also complaining about, oh man, she learns the mind tricks so quickly in dire situations like that. Forgive a character for trying really hard and actually making it work. It's like
she
first off, it didn't work once. It did not work once. First off, the funny thing is, I was watching the movie and she did the Jedi mind trick. And I'm like, oh, she's watched Star Wars. Oh, wait. I was actually thinking that like she had somehow seen the Star Wars movies when that is not possible.
And again, she was probably trained. It was probably a repressed thing.
That's an outs. Yeah, but I'm trying to base this.
The fact is, she did not like. She
fan
tried a few times. She had to look at the stormtrooper. She couldn't just say it like out in nowhere. Like
right. There's a clear connection with Rey and Luke's lightsaber. There's clearly the Force is strong with her.
She did the simulation.
She's strong
everything
with the Force.
Everything she does well is backed up, and she's allowed to do things well. I hate that argument. It's like, oh, female protagonist that is really good at stuff. Oh, totally, just disregard character stuff. Mary Sue, it's terrible. So
yeah, I'm totally cool with the character just being really good on their feet, just can easily get things, like they're quick to learn things, and they're intuitive. Why is that such a character jump?
And besides, if you really want to make the argument that she's Mary Sue, fine. The next movie, if we're going to go by rhyming here, she's going to fail a lot of times, and she's not going to be Mary Sue. We're going to shut up, okay?
Yeah.
All right, just wanted to get that out of the way, because that's really the only thing I feel strongly about Rey. I like Daisy Ridley, good character, lots of fun, yada, yada.
All right, so... Okay, the point is, and I want to say this, like, the point is, these characters, we had the ability to talk about all of them in detail.
Yes.
Because, not just because it's Star Wars, but because they were all well-realized characters. Even the ones that didn't have much screen time are obviously well-realized, and we will see them in the coming trilogy. Now, that could be a problem for some people, because I still think movies should stand up on their own 2 feet. But
correct.
I think in the case of a Star Wars movie like this, it's okay. Which is why I love this cast so much, and I'm so excited to see where it goes. I'm so glad that we only have to wait a year and a half to 3 years for the next movie.
Yeah, seriously.
Really. The wait would have killed me. Anyway,
yeah, like, I just want to bring something up. Again, like what you were saying, I think that I am a big proponent of that idea of movies need to stand on their own, and I don't like people, even though it's really hard not to do it, I don't like people just saying, oh, we'll figure more about that character in the next movie. But even with characters like that, they still have great presence. They still serve the story, and they don't feel like they're just there to look cool or to be there. And with the characters that are important, what's really interesting is that they're complex. They're deep and they're complex, and they get time on screen. And I'm actually really impressed that J.J. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan managed to balance all of these characters so well in the time that they have. So I really like the characters. I think they're a really great group.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Great cast.
Yep.
I don't want to sound negative towards Daisy Ridley. I'm really excited that she's going to be our protagonist.
This trilogy. We forgot BB-8.
Come on, he's cute and fun.
He's cute. He's funny. He's not Jar Jar. It's great.
Yeah, great tech. I love how he's practical.
There's not much else to say.
Yeah. The fact that he's practical is so important because actors really had to bounce off him. No pun intended. And it's good that he or she. I think it's a she. I think BB-8
they say
is she. He okay. A BB-8 is like.
I mean, it's a robot, but yeah, they say
a robot with personality. The biggest laugh in both times I saw the movie was when he used thumbs up motion as a lighter. Yeah, it was absolutely hilarious. Like, it's great. But yeah, okay. So we've been talking a lot about characters. I think we're all agree that we like all of them or most of them.
Yeah,
I like all of them.
And our favorite, Larry and I, are Kylo Ren. You're Rey. So there you go for that.
But I think we've already made one of the longest podcasts ever, and we're not even done here, folks. We still got to talk about story and our genuine problems with the movie, which
comedy.
I have problems.
We got to do the comedy part, and speculation. Like, we got a lot to go.
Okay, the point is we have a lot to do before we get done with this. So so the Force is now like half awake. It's still like it's still sort of stumbling
a little dreary, but coming to.
Yeah. So, and we'll talk about that whole subtitle thing next episode. So up until then. Just remember, leave it in the comments description. What did you think about what if you saw Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens? What did you think about it? And what is your favorite title crawl, or perhaps the title crawl of the first sentence?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's just say that we are doing another part. This is part 1.
Yeah.
Part 2's coming out.
Part 2, we're going to talk about story, and we're going to talk about flaws. We're going to talk about comedy. We're going to talk about speculation. So until the next time, guys. My name is Max.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Larry.
Hear us later, you will.